Hi, Mark here from the Tangibound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangibound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangibound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangiboundNetwork.com and see if Tangibound Network is right for you.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. And try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday. Wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time, so stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. Then you'll see the clouds every day. Then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen. I am your hostess for the evening. And with me, as always, we have Brian and... still no Henno.
Henno.
Henno. We miss you, Henno. Hurry back to us soon. But I understand he's still enjoying time with his wife. So, can't fault him for wanting to do that.
Yeah, I can. No. I kid. Yeah.
I mean, his wife's gorgeous. So... yeah. I don't blame him.
Yeah,
at all.
He's done all right. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, as the kids say, he punched up.
Yes, yeah. He did.
Then most guys do, like we realize that we're just savages. We're just lucky anyone pays us any attention.
Well, I believe I went first last week, so yeah. I'm going to let you go first this week.
Man. Yeah, Henno's going to come back. He's going to have to go first for like 6 months.
So, yeah, pretty much.
So this week was pretty quiet for me. I didn't really do a whole bunch. Yeah, I'm finally going back to, hopefully getting another testosterone shot tomorrow. I had blood drawn the other day, so depending on the results of that, because if certain numbers are high, then I can't get it. But as long as they're okay, then hopefully if they were high, they would have called me, since I don't live local, to where I go for it. But, my dumb self didn't think to call today to find out. So I can't be mad if I go up there tomorrow and they're like, hey, yeah, you can't get the shot, you know. I'll be like, well, it's my own fault. But, yeah. Yeah, it sucks because it's half an hour away. But, you know, my brother and I like to go to the stores and stuff up there, too. So, whatever.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. Even though I just don't feel like it. I haven't felt like really going and doing anything lately. And again, you know, I'm beyond due for another testosterone shot, so that definitely can have something to do with that. You know, more lethargy and whatnot. But it's funny because I made a to-do list. I went through and just wrote down everything that I want to get done. You know, from like dusting the shelves in my room all the way to, you know, talking to the school up the road and just, you know, a variety of things. And like I mentioned to Tony on Salty Language, I'm like, well, I didn't do it to overwhelm myself with a to-do list. I did it so that I have everything there. And, you know, the intent is to pull a few things at a time off that list. And okay, here's today's to-do list type of thing, you know. But then I've just had no want to do anything. So, yeah. And it hasn't helped either. I've had some form of a headache for probably almost a week now. And I don't know if some of it's sinus. I 100% know that because our weather went from being cool to humid and much warmer. You know, and anytime that happens, I'm going to have sinus issues, of course. So, you know, but I don't know if there's something else going on or not. But it's, you know, I got a tooth I need to get taken care of, and I'm thinking that there could be some issues stemming from that. You know, they're causing some pains or whatever, but I don't know where they're at. I don't know that they're related, but whatever. Yeah, I have an appointment for that. Unfortunately, it's not for like a month. Mm-hmm. So, because I go in and I'm, you know, talking to him and I'm like, yeah, I'm, you know, way overdue for a cleaning and an exam because, you know, literally I made my appointment. My appointment for my last cleaning was in 2020 and it was in the middle of March was the appointment. That's right when quarantine happened. Or lockdown, basically everywhere. So all the appointments there got canceled unless they were emergency type, you know, unless you were in like severe pain or something. So, you know, and for a long time they weren't really doing cleanings and stuff. Again, they were still mainly doing, you know, more, I don't want to call it emergency stuff, but it was, you know, more if you were in pain kind of scenarios. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So anyway, they're finally back to, I mean, they've been back. I've just been lazy. So I finally got I finally got that sorted out though. I was in there when I got my blood drawn. I went upstairs because that's where the dentist is, upstairs from my doctor. So I just like, while I'm here, I better go make an appointment. So got that out of the way and, you know, whatever. So, you know, it's, nobody, because every time I called, it was like I'd sit there waiting and it'd be like, "There's 4 calls ahead of you," and it would never seem to go down. It's like, what are these people talking about? Like,
right?
Like, can they get someone else to answer a phone, maybe, or like, do they have some weird thing where it just tells you there's 4 people and they're not answering it? What's going on here? So I was like, well, I'll just pull the old, I'm going to show up and make you deal with me.
There you go.
And oddly enough, I walked in, there was nobody in the waiting room, and, you know, woman, the receptionist walks up and she's like, "Oh, how can I help you?" And just, you know, blah, 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 here you go, have a nice day. It was like in my head, I'm going, I bet if I would have called, I'd still be on the phone, you know, so whatever. But, yeah, I can't really think of much that's gone on otherwise. Yeah, I can't. Like I said, I haven't really done much of anything. You know, I mean, aside from, you know, talk a little about, you know, being really nervous with mask mandates being lifted. That's a new level of anxiety, you know, which was going to be there no matter what. No matter when it happened, I was going to be anxious about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we've been wearing these things for, you know, well over a year, and it's become the normal, and, you know, we're still not at, like, huge numbers in vaccinations, and there's, you know, other considerations, like for the people who can't get vaccinated or, you know, whatever. Like, I have a lot of mixed feelings on the whole thing. On the other side of it, I'm so ready and so not wanting to wear a mask through the summer, you know, because I already am hot enough all the time. So I would rather not have to wear one. But if I do, I do. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm still going to wear one most places. I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable yet. And I still feel like it's, you know, maybe helping someone else. I don't know. The science, I guess, is showing that the numbers, you know, that the vaccines are doing well. So I don't know. But whatever. You know, that's for each of us to kind of make our own decisions on as things open. But, you know, all I can ask is, if you go somewhere and you don't want to wear a mask, but the place requires you to, please don't make it difficult for the people working there. You know, just mask up, do what you got to do. The second you walk outside, you can take it back off. You know, please just don't make their lives any worse. You know, I've already read some stories about people just being real jerks about it. So, you know, and these people are just trying to, you know, they're just doing what they're told at their job. You know, they're not making the policies. So, you know, if you really are upset about it, when you get home or in your car or whatever, make a video, post it to the company's TikTok or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and let them know, you know, let your voice be heard that way. You know, anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. So I guess that's all I got for the week.
Well, my week has been busy as all get out. It has kicked my butt, that is for sure.
All right.
Basically, so work's going good. I'm going in early, and then after work, I sometimes have to log on for specialty things, and that usually only takes about half an hour or so.
Okay.
But between that and going to the gym, I'm on day 10.
Yeah.
So 10 days in a row.
All right. So I have to ask, since you're at, you're at almost, you're the halfway point essentially. So you've gone every day, right? No missed days?
No missed days.
Okay. And when you go, are you working out?
Yes.
Every day?
Yes.
Awesome. Which is pretty much what we figured was going to happen because you're there. You might as well do something, whether it's get on a bike for 20 minutes or something, at least do something, you know, move a little bit. So, okay, good. Awesome.
Yeah, it is mentally, it's getting easier. Physically, it's getting harder.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. So it makes sense. My ankle is starting to bother me a bit, and so is my hip. So I'm curious to see how much longer I'm going to be able to go in a row, but I'm going to keep pushing it and see what I can do.
Do you, like, what are you doing at the gym?
Elliptical.
Okay. So it's not a settings, like on a bike, you know, if you don't have it adjusted right, it can affect your, you know, your hips and back and whatever, because you're not in the right position.
Yeah, no, I'm in the right position. It's just the nature of my body.
Yeah.
You know, it just is.
Okay.
I'm starting to get a bit of arthritis in my hip, and I ended up having ankle surgery back in 2002, and I still have issues with my ankle from that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I knew you already knew, but
right.
I'm just making sure our listeners kind of understand.
Yeah, that was that was bound to happen. You know, most likely. So, can you brace? Yeah. Can you brace your ankle? Will that help?
I can it sometimes. It helps, but for the most part, it's not. It doesn't do anything anymore.
I didn't think it would, but I was just curious if you had gone through that. Yeah.
And that's why, for those out there, I do the elliptical because I don't have to pick my foot up and down.
Yeah.
I have issues with my balance and my ankle, and I have a tendency to twist my ankle and turn it. So if I'm running or walking, it just basically gives a lot more opportunity for something to go wrong.
Yeah.
So if I can stick to the bikes or the ellipticals, things like that, it's much better of an exercise for my body to get the cardio and stuff.
Yeah.
And my goal is to branch out and start doing more than just the cardio.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, like I said, my main goal is actually getting in the building. So, and once I'm in the building, I've been doing a little exercise, which is good. Am I getting to the point where I'm exhausted every night? No. But I'm also trying to go 21 days in a row, and I haven't gone to the gym in over a year. So,
yeah, that's fine.
I figure
you don't have to go to exhaustion, though. It's like you see, like there's been commercials on TV and stuff where they'll talk about exercising, and they'll even mention that. My doctor even mentioned that to me. He was like, it isn't about like killing yourself. He's like, it's just about getting moving. And he's like, try to half an hour to an hour a day if you can, get moving a little bit so that you're not sedentary, and that, because that'll definitely help no matter what. So yeah, you might need to just do some, might have to start doing some yoga, like some stretches.
Yeah.
To loosen your hip up.
And I will go on the record. We're on air. Brian, you are welcome to come with me anytime since I drive right past your house.
Oh, yeah, you do. I didn't even think about that. You probably go to that gym. Yeah.
Yep. So I go right past your house every single time. And I'm usually there about an hour. And it's right after work. Well, after work-ish. So usually, 5, 6 o'clock. Sometimes 7.
Right.
So it's late in the it's in the evenings.
Yeah. Yeah, I could go with you and hit the smoothie bar. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a really good smoothie bar.
It's so funny because, like, most gyms have that kind of thing. And I get it because, first of all, they make money off of it. But also, the intent behind it is good. But I'm very curious how many people actually use it for not as good as possible,
Oh, yeah. I mean, they have some that are super calorie laden.
Yeah.
They have one that's made with real Oreos.
That's so funny, though.
It cracks me up. We're at the gym, and she's like telling me that because I went to get a smoothie, and I go the low carb, low sugar one.
Yeah.
For the protein smoothie with berries.
Right.
And she was telling me, she's like, yeah, you want to stick to the fruit ones. And I said, oh, okay. She's like, if you're trying to stay low carb and low sugar, she's like, you don't want the Oreo one has real Oreos. It's full strength peanut butter. It's,
Yeah.
it's the heavy duty sugars and whatnots. And I'm like,
which is really interesting because, like, I don't know. I'm not like super up on, all the stuff, but like different eating plans and whatnot, but it just seems like for any level of health, an Oreo smoothie of any kind is probably just doesn't seem like it should be on your radar, but hey, whatever,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the way some of these guys work out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like maybe
more power to you.
Yeah, because I know some eating things and whatever, maybe that's their treat, maybe that's, whatever, I don't know, but it's just kind of humorous. So
yeah.
It's used to be like, when I first heard about, I forgot which gym it is now. The one that has like the pizza day, like once a month or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And, Planet Fitness, is that the one?
I think it is.
Purple and yellow scheme?
Yeah, that's Planet Fitness.
And I think they have like a donut day, that kind of stuff. It's just funny because it seems so anti what you're doing, but at the same time it isn't, because it also is like, hey, there's nothing wrong with having a slice of pizza or a donut, but it's different if you walked in, grabbed the whole pie and walked out, like, nom, nom, nom,
Exactly.
sitting there on the, on the exercise bike eating pizza,
Please don't drip the grease on the bike.
Right.
Dang it. But, so that's going really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got my taxes done. Well, I did my own taxes, and I got them completed with 2 hours to spare on Monday.
Nice.
I was very excited about that. I'm like, sweet. I don't owe them my kidney. I do owe them a couple fingers, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so I have to determine which fingers I'm going to give the government.
Yeah.
But, yeah, because I worked the entire last year.
Yeah.
Which I'm very thankful that I did not have to go on unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
Would say that those tax deductions from being on unemployment would have been really, really nice.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know what? I'm very fortunate to have been able to work. So
right.
I am choosing to look at it that way.
Yeah.
Change my perspective on that whole thing.
Yeah, that's about the only way you can look at it.
Yep. What else did I do? All weekend. It feels like the weekend just flew by. What did I do? Oh, my mother-in-law came over on Sunday and spent Sunday with us, which was wonderful. So that was fun. We did that. And I guess that's it. I just feel like I've been so much busier than what when you look at that on paper. I will say, I mean, with working out like I have been, I've been staying up later.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So because I'm not getting done with the gym until 8, 9 o'clock at night.
It's just surprising that isn't like you don't get home and you're like, oh, I'm tired. You know, like from that. Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm usually get home around 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I haven't done any relaxing because I'm up at 5:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my cup of coffee, and then I hit the ground running.
Right.
And we mentioned that before, my morning schedule.
Yeah.
So I'm hitting the ground running way, way early, and I don't stop. I have a break. I take like a 15-minute break in the middle of the day, and then I leave around 4:30. By the time I get home, let the dogs out, get to the gym, do a little work, grocery shopping, picking things up, like running errands and whatnot, dinners with my mom. I mean, it's just my day has just been flying by.
Well, it's because you don't have like, a lot of people work like 9 to 5, and then the rest of the day is the last few hours are theirs, but you're stacking other things in there. So when you finally get the alone me time, you have like this tiny window, and then it's like, I need to go to bed, so yeah, it's tough. I know Tony talks about, has always been that way too, to where, he talks about that, to where he's like, it's just like, this and then this, and it's like, yeah, it makes sense. It's at the end of the day, you're like, geez, I had no time to myself basically. And you're like, but I did all these things or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, it's tough for sure.
So that's about it. That's been my crazy week.
Nice.
Now, do you have the article today?
Yeah. And this is from Essex-behavioral-therapy.co.uk. The link will be in the show notes because they spell behavioral with a U that most of us Americans don't use. But yeah, it'll be in the show notes. And today we're going to talk about mind reading, and not in a like, I'm a magician, I'm reading your mind, is this your card kind of thing or something, but more from the distorted thinking, or cognitive distortions, I should call it, type of thinking. And it says mind reading is where, for example, you make an assumption that other people are looking down on you, or where you become so convinced about this that you don't even bother to check it out. Imagine you're giving a presentation which is going very well, but you notice that a man in the front row is nodding off. It so happens that he was out on the town the previous night and is rather suffering for it now, but you don't know this. You might have the thought, I'm so boring that I'm sending the audience to sleep. Mm-hmm. Suppose a friend passes you on the street and fails to say hello because he doesn't notice you. You might erroneously conclude, he's ignoring me, so he must not like me anymore. Or perhaps your spouse is unresponsive one evening because he or she was criticized at work and is still too upset to want to talk about it. Your heart sinks because of the way you interpret the silence. He or she is angry with me. What did I do wrong? You may then respond to these imagined negative reactions by withdrawal or counterattack. This self-defeating behavior pattern may act as a self-fulfilling prophecy and set up a negative interaction in a relationship when none exists in the first place. And that's a great point because it really does. There's been times where I've not gone somewhere because of mind reading, to where I'll be like, well, all they're going to do is this, or they only want me there for this reason, or whatever lie my brain has told me. And it's been convincing enough to change my behavior.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, we've all been there.
Yeah.
You know, and I actually just had this conversation with my mom about mind reading. And it's just, yeah, sorry about that if the dog's picked up on the mic. But yeah, I mean, it's so disruptive, and it could really mess up, you know, relationships, friendships, you know, romantic relationships, all of the above, if you're not careful what you're doing.
Yeah, because you just start, like it says, you know, you just start assuming people are thinking things, or, you know, and we've talked about this before, of course, but in the long run, like if you ask the other person, they probably didn't even notice that, they didn't think that, they whatever, because most of us are, and I don't mean this in like a selfish or narcissistic way, but we're so caught up in our own stuff that many times we don't even notice these other things that people are thinking we're thinking about, you know, like, you know, you're walking out in public somewhere and someone looks at you and you think they gave you a dirty look. Well, maybe they were squinting because the sun was in their eyes, or they're looking past you. They may not even notice you. They might be looking at something in your direction. You know, I mean, I literally had, I don't know if you remember this. You would walk to go to the restroom, I think it was. We were out to eat one time, and these two women came up to me. I was looking past them at a TV that was up above them. They thought I was staring at them the whole time.
Oh, wow.
And they came over to the table, and just the one woman just went off on me about me being a creep. You know? And I'm like, what are you talking? Like, I was watching the TV. They had, you know, whatever, the CNN or something on, and I was watching what was going on there. But the angle of it basically was like I was looking right above their heads. So to them, I'm staring right at them, but I really wasn't. My eye line was higher than them.
Yeah.
But they couldn't see that, you know, so they assumed I was doing that and got all riled up and came over and yelled at me. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah,
why would I sit here and stare at you the whole time? I hate that. You know, if any, you know, I don't like looking at people while they're eating. If any, you know, all it would take is 5 seconds of knowing me and know I can't stand watching people eat. You know, hearing is much worse, but I don't like to watch people eat either. You know, but
yeah,
they just assumed that and went up, and, you know, it turned into a confrontation when there was nothing actually going on. I didn't even notice them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, until they were yelling at me, if you had asked me what they looked like, I probably could have told you they had dark hair because I was looking over the top of their heads. You know, I wasn't even looking at the person. So, you know, like that turned into an escalation that was unnecessary because I wasn't staring at them. You know, so, yeah. And that's just we didn't even know each other. And that's what happened. Yeah. You know? Well,
it's the 80-20 rule. And the 80-20 rule means that 80% of the time you're thinking about yourself, 20% of the time you're thinking about other people. Yeah. So if you can just assume that they are playing by the 80-20 rule, as we almost all of us are, the odds of them actually thinking about you, very small. 20% actually.
Yeah.
You know, so just keep that in the back of your mind when you're getting stuck with trying to, you know, wrestle with the idea of, are they really thinking about, are they making that face at me, or are they thinking about me? It's pretty much a good guess that they're not.
Yeah. And I will say that was my response to the woman after the shock of like, well, huh? I was like, get over yourself. Like, what makes you think you're worth me staring at for half an hour? You know, like, I mean, if you want to talk about something weird, I mean, that's narcissistic.
What did she say to that?
She just stormed off. That was the end of it. Cause I believe she may have said something else that was, you know, a 2-word phrase or something like that. But it was like, cause it was true. I didn't care about her. You know, I wasn't staring at her. So, yeah.
You're with me.
Yeah.
Like, you can be looking at other girls when you're with me.
Well, not to mention, I've been people watching for years. I'm not going to, you know, it's like on one of the things
not that obvious. Yeah.
One of the things on Seinfeld that I always loved was the episode where they're talking about looking at cleavage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was George, and he was talking about how he got caught by the woman he was staring at her cleavage. And Seinfeld is like, you know, it's like looking at the sun. You glance and you look away. You don't stare, you know, and it's the same thing. If you're people watching, you don't lock on one person. You kind of move your head around and maybe keep your eyes or whatever, but you don't just stare at one person. That's creepy. But anyway, yeah, but like I said, that, you know, that just proves it's like she thought one thing because that's what her brain was telling her, and she didn't stop and go, oh, there's a TV right over my head. Maybe he's looking at that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, she never considered that maybe I'd rather watch CNN than her, you know? When that was the truth. So, yeah. But, and that's the thing. Like you said, we've all done this, and that's one of those things I always want to bring up when we talk about cognitive distortion is everybody deals with these things in some form or another. Almost every one of these that's on the list of these things, people go through at some point. You don't have to have a mental illness or some sort of issues to deal with these, because we all have self-doubts, you know, and that's well, maybe not all. I guess if you're, you know, full-on narcissist, maybe you don't, but, you know, I don't know. But that's where a lot of this, you know, it just leads to problems when you start thinking, you know, what someone's going to say. Like, you play out the whole conversation in your head. Well, they're going to say this, and then, you know, and then you talk to them and they don't say anything like it. Or you think something, you talk to somebody the next day and they just go, oh, I didn't even think of that. You know, and you're just like, oh, and meanwhile you've beaten yourself up all night over it. It's like, it's not worth it. You know, like, and it isn't fair. You know, the fair thing to do is, if something you think something's bothering you, ask a person, you know, and like I told Jen before we did the started recording, you know, and her and I have done this for years, where every once in a while we'll ask, like, is this crazy, or is this, my mental, you know, let's think, is this my anxiety, depression, or whatever?
Or is this reality?
Or is this, like, actually what's going on here? And, you know, it's nice when you're with somebody, like, if you have somebody that asks you something like that and it's kind of seems crazy, but if you just answer them, you can quell their anxiety so much.
Mm-hmm.
That the best thing you can do right then, again, right, wrong, or indifference, just answer them. Just truthfully answer. And, you know, if there is a problem, then as adults, you know, have a conversation, try to work it out. If there's no problem, then you've helped them relieve a burden. You know, so you've done a good deed because you've helped somebody take a burden off of their shoulders, you know. So,
exactly.
This post has techniques for undistortion, or ways to basically get your, you know, work around mind reading. The first one on here is rate the degree of your belief and identity and rate your emotions. Like, how strongly do you feel these things? You know, because with any cognitive distortion, this is the kind of work you have to do, is you have to really work on learning what is the actual truth versus what your brain is telling you that is the truth sometimes. And this is where, like I was just saying, like me and Jen having those conversations where, like, or I've done this with my therapist where I'll be like, is this an appropriate reaction to something?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or is this influenced by my anxiety or depression or you know, whatever a person is dealing with? And by the way, don't discount asking your therapist questions like that, because it can be very helpful. Not just your therapist, also, sometimes asking other people, but also be careful, because asking just random friends and stuff, there could be biases involved, like if they're always telling you you're a drama queen or something like that, if you ask them, there's a good chance they may say, oh, you're overreacting, so and also sometimes overreacting is an appropriate reaction, as weird as that sounds to say, or an extreme reaction is an appropriate reaction. How about that? I'll word it that way. Number 2 is identify exactly what your prediction is. For example, he doesn't like me, so he won't talk to me.
Future casting.
Yep. Well, it's both. It's a little of both. You're saying they're not, I'm mind reading, they don't like me, and I'm future casting, they won't talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And for those unaware,
do that.
No.
No, one of these things I always used to ask myself when I start going down those paths is I always ask myself, so what?
Yeah, I love doing that exercise. Well, the first time I had a therapist do that with me, to where I was like, well, I'm afraid of this. And she's like, okay, well, let's say that happens. Then what? And you tell her, and then what? And you just play it out way down the road. And then what you ultimately realize is, oh, I'm fine. Like, I'll be okay, and you're like, oh, like.
Yeah, it's like, shoot your shot. Why? Yeah. Because why not?
Right.
What are you going to lose? What's the big deal? Do you truly care? If they don't care enough to accept your invitation or say hi to you or whatever it may be, then why do you care what they think about you?
Yeah. I'll tell you, that was one of the most freeing things years ago when we, as a group of friends, kind of shifted to that mentality for like birthdays and stuff, to where it's like, hey, my birthday's in a week. We're going out and doing this. Mm-hmm. Everybody who's getting this message is welcome. But if you don't show up, you don't show up. Like no pressure. I'm not going to be disappointed because you didn't show. It's just, if you show up, there's still, of course, going to be certain people, if they don't show or react or whatever, you'll be disappointed. But in mass, it's like everybody has their own things, and it's just like, I put it out there. If you want to be part of it, cool. If you don't, well, the ones who show up, we're going to have a good time. And that's the best way, and that just eliminated so much like hurt feelings and whatnot for me, Mm-hmm. Now, I will say this. There are a lot of people who I have an easier time just shutting people off than a air quote normal person. So if those kind of tactics are a little easier for me than they might be for a lot of people, I fully understand that. And again, that's something that's why I talk to my therapist about, is this an appropriate reaction? Because I know I sometimes just tend to kind of shut people off without meaning to, because as I've said before, the best way to tell if I like you or not is, do I give you any energy? If I don't like you, I'm not wasting my energy on you, so I'm very cold like that, I guess, at times. I don't mean to be, but it's just, whatever. It has its benefits, but overall it's not something I recommend, So anyway, number 3 on here is conduct a cost-benefit analysis. A, do you think that mind reading gives you valuable information? B, will mind reading help you prevent being taken by surprise, or will it prevent something bad from happening? That's a big one, because that's the reason that your distorted brain will tell you that this is a good idea. Because your brain will go, well, if I walk through the whole conversation, I got responses ready. They can't hit me with anything I'm not ready for. And, or, well, they don't blah, 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 so I'm not going to this. So, I've prevented getting hurt. And, that type of thing. And it's what your distorted brain will tell you is the appropriate reaction, but it isn't. It's the biggest thing I learned in therapy was the first time that I told my therapist that I'm a logical person, and she said, but you're not. And then she goes, let me rephrase. She goes, you are, but the road to logic is down the middle and you've drifted to the left. Or you've drifted to the right, whichever, like, so you are moving down a path. You're approaching it with a logical mindset, but you veered off the actual, like the path of reality, so you're not using facts to make your decisions. You're using distorted thinking, so it was, and then I was kind of like, huh, and, made a huge difference for me. That's what led to the, is this an appropriate reaction? C is, How would your thoughts, feelings, and behavior change if you did less mind reading?
I'd be a lot more adventurous.
Yeah, me too. Because fear, I've openly said, and again, in therapy, that fear has dictated my life for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think that's unfair. That seems right? Because before that, I was fairly, let's go do stuff. But after that point, I really tightened up as far as going and doing anything without overthinking it. Waiting for the perfect response or the right time or whatever. Mm-hmm. And again, the right time is such a fallacy. Because you can keep making excuses. Yeah, you can make excuses to why, even though someone else will go, what are you talking about? This is the right time. Be like, nah.
Gotta spin the perspective.
Yep. Number 4 on here is examine evidence for and against your mind reading, which I think is really good. That helps ground you in truth versus, but again, you have to be careful because basically this can become a confirmation bias scenario. Because if you do a plus minus situation, you can load one side to fit how you are, what your brain is telling you. So it is nice in those events sometimes to have someone else work with you on that stuff to maybe keep you fair,
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, what is the quality of the evidence that supports your mind reading? And that's a good one too. I like not just what is the evidence, but what's the quality of that evidence? Is it fake news or is it, has someone straight out told you, I don't like you?
If you get your evidence from Wiki, it is circumspect.
What are you talking about? Yeah. There's a reason why colleges wouldn't let you use that as a source for a long time. I don't know if they do now, but the last time I was in college, they did not. You could use it to find sources, but you couldn't use it as a direct source.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. But I think that's a real key one there, though, is, again, it's like what you're basing this on. Is there fact? Is there anything to back it up?
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, then it's I can't think of the word. It's maybe made up. Huh?
Circumstantial?
Yes. Something along those lines.
Close enough.
Potentially made up. Yeah. Number 6, what cognitive distortions are you using to support your belief? This one's so good because most of the time you'll look at that list and, like I said, the first time I saw this list of cognitive distortions, I was like, yep. And most people probably do. Once you read what they are, you can probably think and or better yet is after you read these and then you start looking at your life and you catch yourself in those moments, then oh man, this is this, it says, are you personalizing, fortune telling, labeling, discounting positives, or using a negative filter? Which that's a really good, like I said, a really good question. And the next one I kind of talked about already, but is how could you prove that your thought is wrong? Is it testable? That's putting the old science approach to it.
Nice.
Is you put it out there, can it be proven? Can it be proven again? Or is it just a theory or a hypothesis, I should say, not a theory, a hypothesis. Number 8, what if your thought were true? Why would it bother you? If people are thinking what you think they are thinking, does this mean something about you? Such as I'm undesirable or I'm foolish or something about them. They're mean. I can talk on this real when I was doing, like, looking at, like, stuff on, like, Plenty of Fish, Tinder, all the dating sites, I would project what that person thought of me. Like, I would literally almost go out of my league, like that kind of thing. And it was like, when your choices are left or right for swiping, why are you, if you're remotely interested, you know, if you're interested in the person, why would you ever swipe left? If you think they're an awesome match for you, why would you ever swipe left, right? I'm playing these things more like it's a hand of poker. You know, like in a hand of poker, like I remember watching one of the poker tour shows or whatever, and they talked about how like the best players only play like 20% of the hands. Like they throw the rest away. And that's literally what I was doing. Was I'm like, oh, well, this one seems cool, and I think that they'll dig me, like they'll go for me. And it's like, what are you doing? You know, that's like going fishing and waiting for the right fish before you cast your line. You know, like,
yep.
Like, what are you doing? So, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's when I was dating, I did the same. I didn't do that. I did the opposite. Pretty much anybody that would talk to me, I would talk to them. They invited me out for dinner. I go out to dinner with them.
Yeah.
If I was attracted to them, if I wasn't attracted to them, I figure we will give this a try.
Yeah.
And I was pretty much, you know, I got stood up. Some people just, you know, called and said they weren't coming. Some people came. Obviously, my husband did because we're now married.
Yeah.
But, you know, I went into it with just open mind, and I'm like, you know what? I'll give everybody a chance.
Right.
Now, granted, I was very, you know, responsible and safe in the way I went about it. I didn't, you know, I always met them there, and
but that's
no
how
one came home with me. But
that's how people would say to be successful at it, though. Like, you know, like on Tinder, they tell you your best shot on Tinder is to, and I hate this concept, but from what I'm told, it works, which is you have X amount of likes per hour, day, whatever. So there are people who will literally just sit there and swipe right on everybody. And then they'll wait for matches and then pick from the matches.
There you go.
You know, that's how they game it. I don't know if that still is the way, you know, but that at one point I remember hearing that on, and actually it was a Tinder podcast, like by Tinder. And the people on there were talking about that, how that's what they recommended for optimal success. And, you know, that's kind of what you were doing, you know, is, you know, in a sense, is you were, you know, giving everybody a shot. Because, I mean, man, how great of a concept is that if you're really looking for someone to be your partner, right? Give everyone a shot, because anyone you say no to, you might have missed out on the best thing that could have happened to you right there. Or you may have dodged a bullet. You don't really know. And you never will. You know, so. Whereas my situation, I might be not even giving the person a chance to be the best thing ever.
Exactly. You're shutting them down before they even take off.
Yep, exactly. Like I'm only hitting fastballs, baby. Forget it. If you're a curve, a slider, I'm not even looking at you. No, and so what's funny is that really wasn't the thing. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm looking for the cream of the crop. It was just I was tempering looks down, going, they're out of my league, left. And again, it's like, why would you not swing at a fastball? Well,
I'll let you in on a secret. There is no such thing as a league.
No, I know. That's the thing.
I know.
And I don't, I literally don't believe in the league thing, because I've seen too much proof of the contrary.
Exactly.
Too many times we've all seen that guy who's punching way up the, you know, way above his weight, or vice versa. You feel like maybe they're punching down, you know, whatever. But it's like, to them, they aren't, for whatever reason, you know. So, yeah, it's just an amazing thing that you would, like I said, it's different if you're at a bar, right? You're at a bar, you're walking around going, I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to, because you're just afraid. But there's literally nothing to be afraid of on these swipe right or left apps.
Yeah. There is no skin in the game.
If you swipe left, that person is never going to know that you swiped left on them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, realistically. So, anyway. But going back to this is, if the person doesn't like you, why does that bother you so much?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you care? You know, all those kind of things. So that's a good thing to look into because, you know, a lot of us are people pleasers, and that's something that needs to be worked on for a lot of people because there's a lot of codependency stuff in there. And just being a people pleaser can be very bad for yourself because a lot of times you put your feelings and boundaries aside to make others happy. So, you know, this can lead to more than just oh, they don't like me, you know. Number 9 is kind of going off the same thing. What if someone doesn't like you? Exactly what will happen? What things will remain the same? A, what does it make you think if someone doesn't agree with you or approve of you? Does this disagreement or disapproval mean that you are less worthwhile? Is the other person less worthwhile? Why or why not?
You know, I had a thought and I just lost it. Damn it. Oh, darn it.
Well,
sorry.
B, list all of the things you can still do even if the person doesn't like you. Basically showing you that, you know, it really doesn't matter what they think, you know.
Yeah.
C, no one gets approval from everyone. Why should disapproval bother you? You know, and again, I can understand with like certain people, there's a real, like, you know, a lot of people seek approval with their parents,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or someone in their life, their mentor, their boss, their significant other, whatever it is. So like some of them I understand, you know. But the idea of, again, you can't please everyone. So, you know, that's something to work on for sure if you're a person who has a real hang up with pleasing everyone because you're setting yourself up for failure because it's just not possible. Nobody or very few people are it's like it's always interesting to me how, you know, when someone dies and then everyone's like, no one ever says a bad word about him. And it's like, somebody does. Maybe not in mixed company or in big groups, but somebody hates that person. There's no way they're universally liked. It just doesn't happen, you know. No matter what a person's approval rating is, there's somebody, you know, you can name the greatest actors of all time, and there's going to be somebody out there going, nah, I don't think they're that good. You know, it's just...
There's always that one guy.
And trust me, from working in a video store for 8 years, I've heard it all as far as that goes, that so-and-so's a great actor, and, you know, they're panned by everyone else and whatever, so... You know, out there somewhere is a Madonna and a Mariah Carey fan as far as their acting goes, you know, so...
This is true.
Number 10. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I skipped one here. D. What would happen if you accepted the fact that someone might not approve of you? What would the cost and benefits to you? What would be the cost and benefits to you? Sorry, it probably helps if I read all the words. And again, that's a good one because you know, it shows you that you can still have worth if someone doesn't like you. Or doesn't want to work with you or whatever. That's the thing. We've all worked with somebody. Like they had a poll on the news the other night talking about what are the most annoying traits of coworkers. And then one of them was, the things they mentioned was like, I forgot what percentage it was. It was a really high percentage, you know, that was like, this amount has at least one coworker they can't stand. And it's like, well, yeah, of course, because we all have X amount of coworkers. Just, you know, law of averages. There's going to be somebody that you just clash with for whatever reason, you know, so, but you may still have to work with them. So that's another reason these things can be important is, hey, I value that you don't have the same opinion as me, but we still have to get along. We still have to work. And I'm not going to give you the power over me of me going out of my way constantly to try to make you like me. You know, that's just a fool's errand. But a lot of people chase it, you know. I've been guilty of it. I think most of us have probably been guilty of it at some point. Just somebody you just, like, well, I'm sure I'll be the bigger person. We'll get through this, and it just never happens.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, practice repeating the following statement 20 minutes each day. Whew, that's a lot of practice. No matter what I do, some people won't like me. What happens to the thought? Does it become boring? Hopefully, if you repeat it that many times a day, it'll become something you believe.
Right.
And I'm sure that's the real key to that. It's similar to like we've talked on here about doing the Stuart Smalley, speech in the mirror. Is you are good enough, you are smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. Like it's, that's. It sounds so ridiculous, and it feels so ridiculous to say it to yourself, but it does work.
Works.
It can help. It like I said, it's always going to feel stupid. Like you're just going to feel so silly saying it to yourself, but try it. And then finally, number 11, act against your thought. Do something positive towards the person you think doesn't like you.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, especially if you feel like there's some proof in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's just a feeling you get, it's one thing, because you never know. Maybe you just didn't hit it off right.
Right.
And maybe by you doing something nice, they go, oh, because maybe they do kind of think you're a jerk or whatever. But then when that happens, because, maybe you had an off day the day you met.
Yeah.
You never know. Right? So maybe you do something kind of nice for them, like, hey, I brought you a coffee, or I don't know, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they, oh, hey, maybe this person's not a jerk,
Yeah. I mean, it can't hurt. And that's where we have to look at things.
Unless they throw the coffee in your face or something, then,
True,
yeah.
true. But it kind of goes back to, the original questions, like, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yep. Exactly. Well, and that can help you kind of find out the answer too, because if you do something nice and then they're really standoffish to you, then it's like, okay, maybe there's something here, like,
And the thing is, that's only one person. So,
yep.
There's still going to be a bunch of people out there that do like you.
Yeah. And that's what I've always hung my hat on, is I know there's people who don't like me, and I there's some where I've cared, and there's a lot where I'm like, I'm still going to sleep or not sleep easy tonight because, it has nothing to do with my life. But I know across the board that my plus number is better than my minus number. So as long as I can keep it that, like, it's the old, God, what was that? It was a thing my mom had. It was called like the clown's prayer or something like that. It was like, my goal in life is to make more people laugh than I make cry, kind of a scenario. As long as I feel like my plus minus is good, I'm good. If I feel like it's getting close to even or swinging the other way, I'll make some adjustments. But as long as I feel like I'm bringing more joy to people's lives than bitterness or whatever else, then I'm okay with it. I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Well, I think we're good. Is that the end?
Yeah, that's the last one.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, folks, we covered a lot of ground tonight. A lot of interesting points were made. A lot of interesting discussions were had. And, sorry about the dogs. But that's what happens.
Yeah, it's fine.
Anyway, so if you'd like to continue, as I can talk.
If you'd like to continue.
Take 2.
See, what you should have done was just kept talking, and we could have just let someone think there was a hiccup in Skype.
That's true. Can you tell I ran out of water a little while ago? My tongue is getting all twisted. All right. Well, if you'd like to continue the conversation with us, you know what to do. You can reach us at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com. You can also reach us, and that's our email, or that's our website.
Yep.
Our email is thecrazylifepodcast@outlook.com. If you'd like to reach me, you can reach me on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with a G. And now, brand spanking new on Instagram. So you can also find me there at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with a G. And Brian, how can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. You can find me on Instagram at Stunami also if you want to follow me. Well, I'll have to accept you, but yeah. Anyway, you can find my other podcast at salty_language on Twitter. I believe it's Salty Language Pod on Instagram, but I don't remember. I always get it. We had to use different ones. It was, yeah, anyway. And you can also find this show on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod. You can find Heno on Twitter at Ida Heno. His other podcast can be found at MTN Pod, and it's called Moving the Needle. And they just talk about movies, music, different stuff. But like this last episode that I remember they posted, I haven't looked to see if they put another one up yet. But the last one I listened to was Speed versus Point Break, and where they compare the two movies and different stuff. And I've been on the show a couple of times. If you want to go find those episodes, those were fun to do. Actually, I don't know if one of them is up anymore because that was in I think the original run of the show, and I don't think any of those are up anymore. Anyway, but yeah, you can find them on Twitter at MTN Pod. I think they're on Instagram at that too, but I don't remember. What was I going to say? I lost my spot. We're part of the Tangent Bound Network and can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. So please go check out the other shows on there. And Mark, the head of the network there, is looking for people wanting to do different types of shows. Like if you want to be like a radio type DJ or do YouTube posts or podcasts, whatever, hit them up and whatever. They're real good about helping you get going. And Mark's a real nice guy, and I believe we're going to have him back on The Enthusiast on Salty Language here this weekend. So we're going to talk about the podcast network and various other stuff. So that'll be a fun interview, I'm sure. Even though it's weird, he lives like a couple hours from us. We've just still never met him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We're going to make it happen at some point. It just hasn't happened at this stage. So yeah, all that. If you need help, please reach out. There's all sorts of help out there. And if you, or also please reach out to your friends, make sure they're doing okay. Just check in on them. And again, please be kind to one another, especially with these mask mandates lifting. Like I said, please, let's just not be jerks to one another about this. Just do what you feel you need to do and let other people make those decisions, right, wrong, or indifferent. Even if you don't agree with it, that's just control you. You can't control other people. So, but like I said, please don't be jerks to people just trying to do their jobs at these places. If the stores mandate wearing a mask, please just put your mask on and just go about your business and don't be a jerk to the people working there. They've had to deal with the fact that they're on the front line of this for a long time and not been recognized as such, essentially. So, they didn't get any preferential treatment for vaccines or and a lot of them didn't get any sort of hazard pay or anything like that. So please be nice to them, And of course, one other thing I want to say is shop/eat local as places are reopening. A lot of these places have had to go with a big cut in their income. So please help them get going again. All right, I'll shut up.
I don't have to cook anymore? Sweet. Go eat out every night.
Yep.
Yay.
I'm helping.
I'm doing my job, my duty as a citizen.
Yeah. Oh, I got one last thing I want to do, which is if you're on... oh my goodness. Okay, so I'll tell a quick story here, which is a friend of mine on Twitter named Jacob Givens posted a video of himself introducing himself to I'm blanking, Rage Against the Machine. And this TikTok video, which he's now shared on Twitter, Instagram, everything else. And he can be found on all these platforms at Jacob Givens. I'll have the link in the show notes, so you can go watch the videos. They're funny. They're good. He's a super nice guy. And actually, I just pulled up Instagram because I wanted to make sure I got his name right on there. Apparently, the last time I checked, he had 40,000 followers on TikTok because of this thing blowing up. It's now up to 50,000, and he's gotten 1 million likes on his video. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, and like I said, he's the nicest guy. And if you guys want, Tony and I had him on The Enthusiasts through Salty Language. So I'll have a link to that in the show notes if you want to go listen to that also. He's a fun dude. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. So go check it out. And, you know, click the like and subscribe and all that for him because he deserves it. He's a really nice guy. So there you go. I just wanted to, that's one of those like pseudo, like I'm living my win for the week through someone else.
Right.
Because that's pretty awesome that he's blown up.
Well, with that, everybody, go out there and have the best week you possibly can. And remember, wiggle those toes.